Dave Stahl.
Shooter ready. Stand by. Welcome to Gun Owners Radio. We are your Second Amendment community. Interviews, product reviews, politics, trivia. Gun Owners Radio has it all and more. Check us out at gunownersradio.com and tune in every week to hear Dave Stahl, Michael Schwartz, and all our guests talk about everything Second Amendment. Here we go.
All right, folks. Hey, welcome to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The answer.
All right. Hey, attention, California residents. Gun laws are changing across the country, and the recent SCOTUS ruling affirms your right to carry a concealed firearm. So now, more than ever, it's critical you know your California gun laws. That's why U.S. Concealed Carry Association exists, to help keep you responsible Americans up to date with education and training. Visit uscca.com/GOR to learn more about California gun laws and get in your concealed carry permit. That's uscca.com/GOR for the most up-to-date California gun law information. Act now. So, Alisha, welcome to the full-blown co-host position.
Trial by fire.
Geez, nice job. Only 3 shows, and she's already got the whole show. It's amazing. So you've got some reviews, I understand, coming up.
Correct, I do.
What are you going to do?
We're actually going to be talking about a tactical belt.
Okay, and it's for just everyday use? Or
it can be. They actually have a lot of variations and options.
Okay, all right. So other than that, let's see. Are they putting you on the spot? No, but it's interesting when we were doing the off-road show. I don't know. Are you aware of 2571? It's a bill.
No.
It's to not allow companies to advertise to minors about weapons.
Okay. Yeah. I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
I was not aware of the number associated with it.
Yeah. It's lucky if I hadn't wrote it down.
Right.
We would never know. So here's government telling these companies not to allow these companies to advertise so the kids could get good training and good product and learn how to fire a gun is basically what it amounts to. Does that make sense?
It does. And you know what is actually happening with that? It's just forcing these training companies to get a little bit more creative with their wording.
Right.
It's not actually changing the structure or the foundation of what they're doing.
Right, because they can't touch that.
Correct.
But the government seems to want to make it as hard as they can make it, to keep these types of things from happening.
Correct.
But if they would just do what they should do, it would make things so much easier. So, other than that,
it's right up there with what they're trying to do with the ARs. They're just forcing consumers and gun owners to just get a little bit more creative with the structure of their ARs. They're not actually stopping.
Well, you're exactly right. It doesn't make any. Maybe it's the easiest route, but they used to go after criminals. That's the part that got us a bit of major change. They used to go after criminals. And I'm not saying gun ownership for folks like you and I, we're just easy targets. And that's what that amounts to.
Correct.
Because it's too hard to catch a crook. And the crooks know it. But we got I know. We can beat this one to absolutely death.
Did you hear the news about if you buy a gun or ammunition with a credit card, now the government will track you down or track that with you too as well?
I think we've already known that, or if not, we've suspected it, right?
I think so, yeah. But it's I don't know any. So are they trying to catch criminals now who are stealing people's identities and now stealing guns at the same time? Because it's kind of confusing to me. What will that prove exactly in the end? So,
well, they already require a background with it, so they're already going to have that info to know.
So that's even more of a limitation for gun owners on top of that.
Well, you got to remember, everybody knows when you use a credit card where you're at and what you're buying. Mm-hmm. So that just goes into a database.
Yep.
Right.
And I think it's just collecting information. And if they need it, let's say you shoot somebody at a 7-Eleven and it's 2 blocks from a gun store and their records show you bought a gun from that store, then that's, tightens the circle, so to speak, of the hunt. Yeah. So.
I wonder if it circumvents, if it allows them to get access to that information much more quickly or with less back end work than it would be for them to go into process and find out when backgrounds were done. You know what I mean? That processing system might be easier for them to access.
Yeah, that's true. So, we're just going to have to wait and see. Let me see. Who else do we got? We got some people calling in.
We do. We have 2.
Who we got?
A little preview. We have David Yamane from the Sociology of Gun Owners, wrote the Ratchet Review. We also have Amanda Suffecool with the NRA Board. And then, of course, Sam the Gunman later on.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good show. Anything exciting roll into discount last week? I mean, any cool guns? Any?
There was a Colt Python someone had their eye on that's still there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not anybody I know, I hope.
No.
Okay.
Not likely.
All right. Action Jackson, what are you doing down there?
Nothing much.
What are those little guys?
They're little Lego minifigs.
Oh, yeah. Looks just like Michael Schwartz. Well, actually, you got to put a little dough around it. But
He's got some with some really cool tactical pants.
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute, Hollywood. I've decided you're not Jackson anymore. You're Hollywood. What did I see you on Instagram trying to beat some guy up?
No, but that was me at practice.
I seen you hit that guy. That's pretty good. That's that little arm that you use.
Elbow.
Yeah, you did pretty. Did you see that on Instagram?
Not yet. No, I need to check it out.
That was pretty good. Did you surprise him? Or was that just training?
It was just training.
Oh, so you didn't get to really knock him on his butt?
I wish.
I know.
I've got a padded suit, Jackson.
Yeah. Is that what you're working for? To someday just one good punch.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't blame you. Been shooting anything lately?
Actually not. I was going to go to shooting practice, but it was like 114 at that day.
Yeah. I told you're man after my own heart. Anything above 80 degrees, I ain't going nowhere. Right?
Yeah.
Unless you're going in a pool.
Yeah, if it's a pool, anytime.
Anytime. I noticed you like pools. All the way across the United States, you were in a pool. How many pools did you swim in when you came cross country? Do you remember? It was quite a few. You notice I follow you on Instagram, so.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It felt like almost around 12 pools.
Mom, am I right? Pretty close. Yeah. Waffle House and swimming pools.
Pretty awesome.
It's not much to keep you happy. Of course, I noticed you had some really nice drinks with you, some sodas or some. So yeah, did you enjoy that trip? Here's a guy, 9, 10 years old, and you just how many times have you driven cross country? Would you say? Yeah, I know.
4.
Mom's got 8. Isn't that amazing? Can you imagine to be how well adjusted you'd have to be to go across country? That many times.
A pretty neat kid.
Yeah, it probably works the first time of the family. Second time's questionable. Third time, I ain't going. Yeah, but you and your mom and your dad, you guys always have fun, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, I understand somebody gave him a boat.
Huh?
I heard your dad got a boat. Isn't he in charge of some big boat?
Yeah.
Yeah. How's that? We gave your dad a boat. How nice. We're the taxpayers. Just wanted you to know we still write checks. And so we gave your dad a boat. So you going to go get on it?
Yeah.
That's what, a couple of weeks, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, like 5-ish weeks.
Is he going to bring it, drive it down here to San Diego so we can all see it?
Well, let's hope so.
Well, we'll just have to, who's his boss? That'd be the president. Guess that won't work. You're going to make him read it?
Absolutely. He's thinking.
For this next segment, we have a really cool guest, Amanda Suffecool. She's running for the NRA Board of Directors.
All right, but first, if you have legal matters that involve firearms that you need to call California firearms lawyer John Dillon, especially if you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you need to know that your guns are California compliant. Call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws, 760-642-7150, or just go to his website at dillonlawgp.com. All right. I'll let you introduce our guest.
All right. So today we have Amanda Suffecool. She is running for the NRA Board of Directors.
Well, hello, Amanda. How are you today?
I am great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So it was really good to have you on board. And so the Society of Guns and Non-Traditional Groups, kind of give us a little idea what that's all about.
Society of Guns and that's not my group.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong sheet.
Dave.
Well, you guys switched it out.
It's interesting, but it's not my group. I'm involved with the DC Project and a not-for-profit called Realize Firearms Awareness, and I have a nationally syndicated radio show, and I'm running for the board of directors of the NRA.
So Amanda.
We can talk on one of those.
Yeah,
So
well,
you know, she actually ad-libbed the first bullet point that we were actually going to ask of her. So, Amanda, what Dave was supposed to ask of you is just to give a quick intro for listeners that might not have heard you on all of your previous visits here to the show.
So it's a little bit of all that, and I do the concealed carry fashion shows kind of across the country. So I kind of play in guns a little bit everywhere.
That's amazing. Well, sorry for the snafu. So
That's okay. I get it.
Well, they did a last minute page change, so it caught me off guard. So, but still, let's talk a little bit about being on a board of directors, because nobody really. I mean, what does a board of director do with the NRA? I mean,
well, that's an interesting thing. I mean, I can't tell you everything that the board of directors does because I'm not on it.
Yeah.
So let me give you the backstory of kind of where I am and why I want to be on it. So I've been a life member of the NRA for, I don't know, a gazillion years, something like that. And I am a just freshly retired engineer in the aerospace industry, and so now I have time. And so there's a spot where you look at it saying, what do you do with the rest of your life when you now don't have to go to work 40 hours a week? And Second Amendment is my love. So the real thing is who is the elephant in the room, and the NRA is it. You know, there's the NRA and the work that they do, Firearms Policy Coalition, the Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America. I mean, there's names, and those names are doing amazing things. But no matter how amazing that stuff is, none of them compare in size and scope and just overall strength to what the NRA is and what the NRA has to offer. And so when you're looking at it going, okay, what are you going to do? I want to be an asset, and I want to help in steering where the NRA goes for the next 100 years. And so that's kind of a piece of it, is to look at it and say that the board of directors for the NRA is 76 members. It sounds like a huge board. They rotate out 25 members every year. And but when you really look at what all do they do, some of them are instructors, and so training is their area of expertise. Some of them are business owners, and so they get that piece of it. Some of them are notable names that it's just the PR portion and fundraising and the support for the NRA. So when you break it down that way, you know, it's everybody's got a slot, and so it's not as huge a board when you look at everybody's different wheelhouses.
Right, exactly. So is this how do you go about, are you voted on by the NRA, or how does that work?
Yeah, so what happens is that every year there is an election for 1/3 of the board of directors. And so there's two ways to get on the board or get on the ballot. I'm sorry. There's two ways to get on the ballot, and one of them is to get on the ballot by going through and having the nominating committee look at you and say, yep, I will nominate this person to be on the ballot. The other is to do it by petition, and so the petition folks do it in they have to have a certain percentage of signatures of the voters who voted last year. Mm-hmm. And so they have to go find life members or members who have been a member for 5 years or more, because they don't want people to sign up for the NRA and then vote in a manner to where they could sway an election. So you have to have kind of some skin in the game.
All right.
Which makes it harder when you're trying to find people to vote or people to do the petition, because you're like, okay, are you a member of the NRA? Are you a life member of the NRA? Have you been a member for this long? You know, and so you're asking all these questions of them. But there's a reason.
But you got to ask a lot up ahead before you ask that question, because they're going to wonder, what are you asking all these questions for?
Right. What are you doing? So I went through the nominating committee. Mm-hmm. So I sent in my packet of information, and I actually have sent my packet of information into the nominating committee like 3 or 4 years in a row. And this is the year that they finally decided that this nominating committee, because every year it's a different group of people,
right,
decided that maybe I was somebody that would be a good candidate.
Yeah.
So,
Alisha, did you have a question?
I do. So yeah, I was just listening to her give her.
Well, you had your finger up, so that was
too.
That's the
my questions is very specific, not so much to her, to your involvement with the NRA, but actually more just in the gun world in general. I was curious, has the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin case affected anything by way of laws or just any circumstances in your state?
Ohio was not, because that's where my home state is Ohio. Ohio has not really yet been impacted by the Bruin case, but let me tell you, it's coming.
Oh yeah.
When you really look at it, I honestly believe, and you guys tell me what you think, I honestly believe that they're going to call into question the 1934 Gun Control Act, the NFA. They're going to call into question the 1968 serialization, the ATF, the whole thing. I mean, right now, Firearms Policy Coalition has got lawsuits in almost all of the district courts about 18 to 21-year-olds. And they're using Bruin as a baseline. But there's nothing in the law in the first place that says that the line is really 18-year-olds.
Exactly. Are you familiar? Of course, where'd you say you're at? You're in Ohio?
Ohio. Mm-hmm.
Well, here in California, they've got a law on the books, which are trying to get it on. It's on the governor's desk, 2571. And it's to not allow anybody sell any products to kids that has anything to do with guns. So all the shotgun clubs can't have advertisers, all of the pheasant club. Did you hear about that out here?
Yeah, I've seen it. And then because I've got some friends who are in California who are like, look, I have been offering training to juveniles,
right,
and I can't. So I can't even teach gun safety to kids because of the way that this law is written. I believe that Bruin. So I believe that one of the things we're going to see is a lot of, let's just call it the alligator death roll, where they're thrashing and making noise and doing all this kind of stuff, but they're in trouble, and they know they're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And the gun grabbers are looking at every different way that they can come about this to see if anything's going to stick. Right. But based on the fact that the Bruin case came out, and right after that came out the EPA versus West Virginia about government overreach of letter organizations, which is smack dab into the wheelhouse of the ATF. I believe that we're going to see lawsuits for the next couple of years, but it is going to be positive impacts to Second Amendment folks like they have never seen before.
Yeah, I totally agree. But, so what do? Join the NRA. It's probably a good start.
Join the NRA. Make a donation to Firearms Policy Coalition.
Right.
Join Second Amendment Foundation. I mean, I'm a life member of both the NRA and SAF.
Yeah, and as much as we all hate to say it, money is power. And unless you can get money behind these programs, then the other side's going to win, or whatever side you're up against is going after a bill that you want or don't want. You have to support either the people or the cause or the organization, or it's all going to go away.
It takes millions of dollars to get to the Supreme Court level. Millions.
Isn't that insane?
It is.
That just doesn't seem American to me.
I mean, well, when you look at, and it took the Heller decision took 13 years to work its way through the courts.
You know what? If this was my company, those people would be fired. They're terrible. I mean, they have a terrible efficiency rate. Right.
I'm with you. And I mean, and then when you looked at the fact that when the Supreme Court took this Bruin case, the year before, they had stacked up a whole stack of Second Amendment cases that each one, you look at it, that they had spent $1 million to get to that place. They were in this stack at the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court was like, yeah, no. and they just pushed them all off into the trash can. And so
into the trash can?
Well, they just sent them all back or said they're not listening to them or whatever. So, I mean, legitimately, it was in the trash can. It didn't go any further.
There's 9 more people I just fired. I mean, get with the program, people.
Right, but the Supreme Court can only hear so many cases. I get that.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to see their time card. I'd like to see how much time they really spend. Yeah, but come on. Nice people. Yeah, I'd go to brunch with them. But I don't see a time card. I don't see a report. Lifetime appointment? Would you want to see a little progress report? I don't know.
So is their job to work or their job to think?
Well, there's that too. That too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and I shouldn't be on radio together because, see, we think way, 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 way too much. And that's dangerous. Hey, you going to stick with us for another segment?
Sure.
All right. Hey, do you have trouble fitting in workouts? Can't say that without laughing. My busy schedule? Yeah, you got to try Leo Fit. I'm telling you. Leo Fit is super high-tech gym that delivers the benefit of 3 to 6 hours of traditional stretch training in just 2 20-minute sessions a week. Yes, that sounds hard to believe, but because the machines are computer-controlled, they deliver the maximum weight you can safely handle by the seconds. And that's how you get the highest possible return on your fitness investment in time. I know. You just need to go down, see Leo Hamill. He's the jewelry guy of fame. And Leo Fit guarantees the metal bottle, never could say that word, strength, fitness, at every session. You will not understand how it works until you try it. So just go down there and ask. They'll be more than happy to hook you up. You can sign up on the website if you like, leofitlabs.com, or you can type in Leo Fit on your browser, and they'll get you some more information. But give it a shot. Can't say no till you try it. All right, we got Amanda back.
Hey, Amanda.
Are you there, my dear?
Yes.
There we go. All right, so now I have to go to page 37 to know who you are.
Subsection 2. All right, Amanda, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
All right, so how do you see the NRA after the years of infighting with Wayne?
That's the thing that is amazing. And because when you talk to the rank and file NRA members, they don't know this infighting is happening. When you talk to the kind of the industry people, they're like, well, what's going on with this? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And so people are like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to go in there, and how are you going to change it? And it's like, the first thing that I'm going to do is gather information, and I can only assume that stuff that is known to the board is different than the stuff that is known to the public.
Sure.
I would hope so.
And so there will be a variety of data gathering before decisions are made or promises are made or whatever. But when you look at it, Wayne LaPierre brings in $1 million a day,
wow,
primarily in the fundraising. So how do you replace that? What do you do to replace that?
Yeah.
I think that there's decisions that have been made that should have been made slightly differently. Let's look at the museum. as I understand it, once again, want to dig deeper, the museum is an asset of the NRA and not protected like a museum, like the Cody Museum or any of those kinds of things. And so I think that's one of the reasons why you watch the NRA and this legal case against in New York with Letitia James. Part of that fight is that if they disband the NRA, which is what the New York State Attorney General wants to do, if they disband the 501c3, then all the assets of the NRA go to like-minded, and I'm doing air quotes, like-minded organizations. So the NRA touts itself as a gun safety organization, as does Every Time for Gun Safety, the Giffords organization, Moms Demand Action. How many gun owners would find it 100% unpalatable that the NRA walks away from the 501c3 and its assets in New York to reorganize somewhere else and allows the Giffords organization to have one dime of the NRA's money?
It's a really interesting point of view there.
Yeah.
I thought about that.
Well, you never know, when these things, get rolling, when it gets between the two parties,
Right.
And of course they're waiting for comment. So I guess that's a good time, since I've done it 3 times this today out of 6 hours, and that's to call your local representatives and let them know, what your feelings are.
Right. Great.
I just found Governor Newsom, which is our governor in California. I got his office number because we're trying to, there's a racetrack, that's the other show I do, and they're trying to take all the parking out of it with this goofy, and it's going on to the governor's desk. So I called every day at 5 o'clock and told him, please don't do that. And
Don't do it. Yeah.
But I know we're all working ourselves to death I think we got to figure out a way to do that better, to let people know. Because until, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, I didn't even know the governor's phone number. I probably could have found it, but I would have never been able to go directly to his office.
To know what it was, right?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things about calling your congressmen and your senators is, if you really want, for every call that you make, every email that you send, they assume that there's 100 people who think like you.
Right.
Okay, so doing it every day is a good move, because now it's that. It doesn't matter. Don't sit and write War and Peace in an email, because they're going to read the first paragraph.
Right.
So tell them what you think and move on.
And
right?
be polite.
Exactly.
And be professional. You don't call them up and tell them all about their ancestry. You
right, exactly. And when you call them a name, you cheesehead,
Right.
it's like, okay, even if they were inclined to listen to you, they're now not.
Exactly. That disqualifies you immediately. And I think if it's a bill, I think it's just helpful if you call them and say, look, on SB 234, I really hope you look at it and throw it out. But if you give them the bill, now if it's just your opinion that, hey, the freeway on I-5 has a chuck hole that 2 cars fell into, that's a different story. But if you're talking about a bill or something that's going to end up on his desk, I think that's the best way to do it.
Well, the other part is that for your senators and your congressmen, is look at it. They have multiple offices.
Yes.
You can call every office.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
So now you're 300 or 400 voters per day.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I like that. And there's no way they can check it.
Well, no. And so you care enough to call.
That's right.
I mean, yeah. So I'll tell you, my congressman voted for this last anti-gun bill that went through and the president signed. And he did it because, in his words, that it was because there's the mental health portion on there. He knows what I think, to the point where a conversation, he's like, well, I'm sorry I disappointed you. Okay. So we can have a civil conversation about it. And then it's like, okay, so here's how we recover from this. If there's work on mental health, then what about Faster Saves Lives, or one of the organizations that helps protect schools?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so there's those conversations. So I'm part of the DC project. We're actually going to DC Tuesday and talking face to face with our representatives about Second Amendment bills and what we think and why we need their support.
That's exactly what you need to do, or groups need to do. How hard is that to make happen?
Well, it's taken us, we've done it every year, but it's taken us the DC project is about 7, maybe 8 years old.
Yeah, I was thinking it's getting up there a little bit. But.
Yeah, so the first year there was like a dozen of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year I think there's a representative from like 48 of the 50 states.
So
it really has grown.
Just in case somebody didn't call in earlier, do you want to you got about, 5 minutes. You want to do a rundown of what is the DC Project? What's its mission statement, and why is it doing what it's doing and growing so well?
Well, so the website is dcproject.info, and it's Women for Gun Rights is really the heart of it, and it is about education, not legislation, when it comes to the Second Amendment. And so it is women from every state that it is I want to say non-denominational, but that's not really the word. So it is nonpartisan. So it is a nonpartisan issue organization. So it is about the Second Amendment. It is not about Republicans or Democrats, liberals or not. It is about the Second Amendment. And so we go and have relationships, have conversations, build relationships, talk to our representatives about why the Second Amendment is important. We talk about the fact that it allows us to be our own first responder. We talk about the fact that the bad guy is typically bigger, stronger, faster than we are, and a firearm is levels the playing field, if you will. We talk about how we're firearms instructors, and what we want them to see is when they talk about the Second Amendment, that it is no longer just big, burly, bearded guys in plaid shirts that are going hunting, right? It has way more to it. So when you show up in a business suit and heels saying, I'm a firearms instructor, or I just came from a class, or one of the girls just went to sniper school, right? I'm going to gun sight next month. It's all about saying that there's multiple reasons why we defend the Second Amendment, and they're all important. Every single reason is important. And we have gals who have had horrific things happen to them. Mm-hmm. And they will be like, I carry a gun, so it never happens again.
Wow. You know what's interesting about actually your group and women in general? Just doing this show for as long as I've been doing it and talking to women out in the field or at the range or what have you, when you talk to them about it, they're ravenous. They're ravenous. You talk to a guy, okay, he might want to get a gun or, what have you. But girls and women, they just, they get a hold of it. They're trained in 3 weeks. They got more, shots down range than 10 guys. Is it me, or is that the general consensus of when you get I guess you could call it the bug?
They do their research. They know what they want.
Well, there's that. Well, yeah, guys just don't even read the owner's manual, okay? So, that's probably a lot more truth than meets the eye. Alisha, when you got the bug, how long did it take you to just about not be right where you wanted to be, but, as far as getting it set up and ready to go?
Well, there's different layers to that. That's a really complicated question. I'm still growing. I'm still growing.
But I'm just saying.
It was quick.
You got bit.
Correct.
And next thing you know, next Monday, you were shopping.
Absolutely.
See, that's a better way to explain it. Don't you think so, Amanda? No.
Yeah, no, I think that's legit.
All right. Well, hey, the music's on. You burned up another half the show. You are so good. How do people follow you around?
So you can find me on Facebook, Amanda Suffecool, or eyeonthetargetradio.com.
All right, kiddo.
Want to hear the best belt joke?
Sure.
Did you know what orange belt is?
No, I don't.
It's just a big waste of space.
Sorry, Jackson. That joke only gets 3 stars.
Come on, Orion is my favorite. I love Orion. We'll have to show you Orion tonight before you go to bed. Does your mother know where it's at? Thank God. Hey, folks, Gun Prom is coming up in the Inland Empire. Get your dresses and suits out. I don't know, I'd go in casual clothes. But don't dust them off in those dancing shoes and get ready to celebrate and support the Second Amendment. Join us with other Second Amendment supporters on November the 12th, 2022 at March Air Force Base, their museum. Ooh, that'll be cool. Right there in Riverside. Celebrate the delicious food, drinks, and dancing. Don't miss your chance to win some amazing prizes and support the Second Amendment at the same time. Get your tickets now at gunprom.com. So, Alisha Curtin is going to do a gear review. And today, you want me to shoot it? I can shoot it while you're talking.
That would be great.
Yeah, okay. That way it'll save everybody freaking out. Okay. What are we doing? Everybody's, talk about getting ready. Excuse me. I happen to have a couple of these core essential gun belts. And I got to tell you, these things are, definitely worth the investment. And they're local. And that's kind of the cool thing about it. It's family owned and operated. That's kind of cool. They send it to you and you can trim the belts as you please. I'm lazy, so I just went down and told them, I said, dude, fit me up, man. Fit me up. And so Alicia's got the belt. I'm going to come over and, I think I can stay hooked up. All right, so what do you got there, kid?
All right. Well, so, if you are a true gun tactical enthusiast, you probably already know about this. You probably already have one. However, some kind of more speaking to, your concealed carry, you're more conservative, just casual shooters. There is a great belt system made by a company called Core Essentials. That's Core with a K. And they make a belt that if you ever have a need to holster, carry a firearm on your belt, it's just a great option. They have different options that are going to run from a gun range battle belt all the way up to a fashion belt. It has a really firm, solid core, so you get that rigid belt. They even make the fashion ones that look like your standard suit belts that you can wear that are just fashionable and everyday. What's that? So here's the really cool thing about it. So it has a ratcheting system on the inside of the belt. So it's adjustable to the point to where, if you ever had a buckle to where you fasten your belt and one belt point is going to be too tight, the next one is too big. Okay, this one has a ratchet system to where you make small increment of measurements of tightness, and what's kind of neat is you can even start the day with the belt on at one point after you have lunch.
Pull it. Show us how it works.
All right. So the belt, obviously ratchet system, you're going to place it where you need. If you need to loosen it, it has these tiny increments. You simply have a toggle here. You're going to press this, and then it allows the ratchet system to release. Flip it this way. Releases to where you can loosen your belt one little click at a time. So it's not uncommon for me after lunch to go ahead and use this little guy.
So this is, I guess I don't use this word anymore, but these are like unisex, men or women can wear them.
If you look at the website, they do label them as a men's belt. However,
yeah,
I think that's bad marketing.
Well, I knew you were going to say that.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, it is a really good belt. I have 2 of them myself. And the other thing is unique is that they come with a little hanger.
They do.
That you can put up in your closet and then just take the ratchet end, or not the ratchet, but the head, and it clicks right in.
It does. And this one's brand new. I have not cut this one yet. The size adjustments it's basically kind of like a one size fits most, goes up to 54 inches. And then you trim it down to the size that you need. You reattach the buckle after you've made that cut. What's kind of nice is my husband and I on occasion will share each other's belts. One belt works for the both of us because it's that adjustable.
Now there's a tip for you, folks.
I know.
Well, and like I said, I actually went down to where they're made. I think they're in Santee, if I'm not mistaken, or something to that effect. And it was cool, but I talked him into cutting my belt.
Oh,
I know.
So high maintenance.
I know. High maintenance. Super
You know that the buckles are interchangeable? It comes with the standard buckle, but you can change that out if that doesn't fit or suit your needs.
And the customer service there is really, really good. I mean, oh, nothing major. Let's try this one. How's that?
That's much
Are you
better.
back on
I'm back.
on it? But I like their customer service. You can go down, walk inside. Here it is. Walk inside, and you can actually see how the belts are made. And I think they even do, correct me if I'm wrong, but they'll do custom buckles for you if you have like say you have a group of people or a club or maybe you just want your initial on it. Don't they do that?
I believe so. I've seen people with custom belts. I don't know if, or buckles. I'm not sure if they did themselves or if Core did.
Yeah.
So that would make sense.
Well, if Core doesn't,
They should.
they know who did.
So the belts, just so you're aware, if you're looking for a weight-bearing belt, their different belt systems go anywhere from 4 up to 20 pounds. So if you've got a heavy rig, you've got a lot of equipment, they do have belts that accommodate up to 20 pounds.
And that's the benefit of this, why this belt is as stiff as it is.
Correct.
So that what other equipment you're attaching to a normal leather belt or a nylon belt, it's going to be really uncomfortable.
Well, they do make a leather version, just so you know. It has that stiff, sturdy inner core that gives you the same support. This one here is the 1.5 inch that you were showing on camera. I'm currently wearing the 2 inch, so they do have different thicknesses as well.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say that these belts are really great. In fact, I use one for range day.
I like it.
They have one for a little short guy like you?
We just have to tighten it really tight.
Jeez. And a lot of duct tape, I bet, huh? Just like a race car.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Yeah. Or your flap is out there in the wind, right? Well, at least it'll keep you upright.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got, gosh, you have them. You have them and I have them.
There you go.
That's awesome. Well, you know, I hate the belt with the hole that you have to stick in.
That's what I'm talking about. Don't do it.
I hate those things. Because, you know, 1 minute is too tight, next minute is too loose. And if you ever notice how when you get up in the morning and you put on a brand new clean pair of Levi's or jeans and say, you know, I don't think I'm going to wear a belt today. And then by noon, they're around your ankle. You ever notice that?
Sometimes, actually.
Yeah. Doesn't that drive you crazy? Because, you know, then you have to constantly adjust it. And what's a better belt? A Core. All you got to do, one notch, and they're still on your rear end instead of on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So what else you been up to? Are you filming me?
No.
Okay, I'm just checking. Well, you kind of look like a movie director, so you got that hat.
He's ready.
Hey, you got a new patch. Where'd you get that? You have to take it off and look.
He's not sure which one it is.
You don't know. You don't know which one it is. Yeah.
Well, he's taken up really quick the price point for these belts.
Oh yeah, well, I forgot we drifted.
We just a little bit. It's okay. So it does range generally. They're $60 to $70 per belt. Just depends on the size, the style that you're getting, where you acquire it from. But it's in that ballpark, and they do have a 30-day satisfaction guarantee, and then they have a 1-year defect warranty as well.
You could probably get one for $5, as short as you are, right?
Yeah.
Funny joke, huh? All right. So what's with the patch? What is that?
So it's a drawing that I did.
And you got to put on a patch?
Yep.
Boy, you're pretty high dollar. You got your own machine?
No.
Oh, your mother just got a checkbook, huh? I know how that rolls. I didn't know you could do that. Onesie twosies? Or do you have to get 27 of them?
More if you do it that
Oh, you have to get 20. So that's when I see you on the front of your house with a table and you're selling extra patches. Well, you use them for giveaway, for promotions.
Yeah.
You'll have to get in line, and maybe Action Jackson will slip you one. All right. So, did you talk to the folks at Core?
I have not.
Did you see if you could beat them up for a discount?
I did not.
You know what? Do this. Just tell everybody 10% discount. Just mention Gun Owners Radio.
You know, if you go onto their website, they actually do, just like everything else. You go on the website, you give them your email, they do give you a 10% off code.
Are you sure you're not a lawyer?
I didn't go to school for that.
You already got me. You're already trying to lock me down so I can't give away stuff. I used to do that all the time. I'd give away stuff. I had a show one time. The guy didn't think anybody was listening, so I said, anybody that called in the next hour got a free pizza.
How many calls did you get?
Well, I almost lost my job. They told me I wanted me to pay for the pizzas. And I go, they're listening to my show. What are you doing? Get away from me. So anyway, well, you know, I do like the product. And you know, do you know it's locally made? Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah.
If I would have known that, I would have gone by.
It's right off, you know where Drew Ford is?
I do.
Okay, well, you know how that goofy street you take to go, you know, like you're going to...
I live right there.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Oh, well, I'll get you the address. It's all tucked back in the back, but it's a nice place.
Okay. That's good to know.
Right.
Just swing by.
So, what do you got on the list as far as more testing down the road? Or are you still looking?
I think next week I'm debating. There's 2 different holsters I'd like to do. I'm debating
Yeah,
which
because
one
I
I'm
thought you were
going to
do
do
a
next week.
holster, but you surprised
I'm
me.
building the pieces. We did the belt. Next week we'll do the holster.
There you go. Getting organized.
I actually have 2 holsters. One actually has a backing system on it that I like. I'm just debating, do I do that one first or do I do that one second?
You kind of might want to, you know where I'd like to see you go with that?
What's that?
Because nobody I know of have ever talked about it in footwear when you go to the range.
Yeah.
What should you wear? I mean,
At
like a hunting.
at a minimum, closed-toed shoes, please.
Well, of course.
Otherwise,
yeah.
you know what they do? A lot of rangers will give you these really fashionable socks. They look great with your flip-flops.
But I'm just saying, if you're going to do it, because you're standing up for an awful long time.
You can be, absolutely.
So you might as well, so that'll give you an opportunity to go out and contact the manufacturer
That's
and
right.
have them get some shoes and see what makes you
Do
happy.
it.
Hey, Shorty, did you realize we're on episode 318?
No, but
Do you know how many weekends that is? 318. That's a lot, huh?
yeah,
I think the number's off, if you want my honest opinion.
yeah, you're 10.
All right.
So the deliberative process privilege exempts from disclosure materials that would expose the decision-making process. That's what Bonta's response to San Diego County Gun Owners Public Records Act request to release all messages on doxing California CCW holders stated. This is your public servant telling you that he doesn't have to explain how they exposed your private information.
That's what I was just going to say. Who wrote this? Because if that's true, Hey, folks, a lot of companies are frustrated with their website. And if it looks old, out of date, and just doesn't get any customers, they're right. Well, Sage Tree gets it. They've been doing this since 2005. Sage Tree has been helping companies with websites that look great, work great, and get leads. Stop being frustrated by your website and get one that you're proud to share. Contact Sage Tree today to get a website that makes the phones ring. Getting started is easy. Call 866-728-9100. That's 866-728-9100. Hey, let's get that website fixed today. All right, Alisha, you were kind enough to translate some links we got, and they're not new. This is just kind of a newsy section right here, folks. But none of them are a lot of news, but there was a couple of updates, and the one was.
So, Mike's talked a lot about the last few weeks about the doxing. So the release of the CCW holders' private information. So there's not a huge update. However, there's some little steps that I'd like to update you on just to kind of keep you guys all informed. So San Diego County Gun Owners wrote a letter to Gavin Newsom recommending that the state publish all security controls and protocols relevant to information on gun owners and CCW holders. In addition, all personal information that is stored digitally should be completely disconnected from any pathway to the internet. So the response from the offices that be have been minimal to none. So unfortunately, to date, nobody in Sacramento has responded directly to San Diego County Gun Owners' call for a third-party investigation. Bonta, a Democrat running for election in November, is not interested in protecting the privacy rights of gun owners in California. Bonta's past language of blaming law-abiding gun owners for society's ills means that he cannot be trusted. Now, none of this is new to us. Right. I just wanted to make sure to kind of keep you guys updated. I know that we will have more coming. Absolutely.
Yeah, keep it in the loop. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, they're just constantly working as hard as they can. And my fear is they're not going to even listen to the courts.
No.
Why
would they?
Yeah, I know, but that's not.
Why start now?
That's not the way. I mean, it's just, and then at that point, then where do you go? What's your next step? If you can't get your politicians, to do what you ask them to do, it could be a real challenge. And the problem is like eating an elephant. They're doing a little teeny bit at a time. You eat elephant, don't you, Jackson?
No.
Cookies, elephant cookies.
Nope.
Not even an elephant cookie with the pink cream on it and the spreckles. Nope. Man, get out of the house, dude. They're tasty. You got to try one. But anyway, I digress. Can you imagine what California and our gun situation will be when he becomes 21? That's why we got to work harder, not smarter.
Absolutely.
No, actually work smarter, not harder. either way, we've got to do something because that's really what it's all about. Have you heard any numbers on CCWs? I know there are people I know of. It's just, no, it's crazy. They're going in 5, 6 at a time and getting processed within minutes.
Oh, they're moving people through quick.
Whew.
Absolutely.
I know it's insane. I don't know if there's a backlog, one way or the other, but geez Louise. So that side of it's good. But I'm telling you, folks, you got to go to San Diego County gunowners.org and sign up, get on the mailing list, and if you need to call any of your politicians, which we highly recommend you do. We were calling the governor in our first hour, and the mailbox was full.
Not surprising. You got to call first thing in the morning, and then to close the day.
I called last week every day. I called to complain about what they're trying to do to Paris Auto Speedway, and I did this in the last show, or maybe I even did it. I did it in the last hour when we were talking to our guest. Is get the bill number if it's a bill, make sure, or get the correct title of it. Be polite, be short, be sweet. Either say yes or no, and then hang up. And the more you do it, the more they'll. I don't believe in the government all that much, but this is one thing I do. I believe that they do, and that's, track and scan, media, social media, emails. I mean, do you ever call?
Not often, not as often as I should.
Right. And the thing that's so cool is if you put it in your phone and speed dialed it.
So easy.
I don't know. But it's
so
just,
easy.
But that's the problem. It seems like the right side of the kind of the lazy side.
Well,
we're just cruising.
Way to make it happen.
Yeah, we're just cruising, but we just got to work harder.
I just looked up really quickly the current number of CCW holders in San Diego County. Any guess as to where we're at?
6,000.
Over 6,000.
Oh, got it. 6,000 last month.
Shooter ready?
We are at 6,905.
Wow.
Currently.
Brendan, don't do that on radio. What are you, out of your mind? Thought Mike was coming in on us. And by the way, if you notice, folks, Mr. Schwartz is not on tonight. And, of course, did he let us know? No. So it's been a fun show. So it might be a tad disjointed.
Party while Dad's away.
Yeah, party when Dad's away. We have a mother that won't talk to us. And she's sitting over there and smoking her phone with snippets that she thinks will get her put in jail. So we won't have her on. Action Jackson, he's building a fort, so he hasn't got time. His dog's asleep. But that's okay. We're having fun. Can you think of any other?
So I actually wanted to tie into the whole CCW conversation. So I know that you've all heard about the stabbing up in Canada. I also have a story out of Texas I'd like to kind of talk about too.
Sure.
So Canada does not. Canada's trying to take away the guns. There was this mass stabbing up in Canada, a fatal mass stabbing. We know that so we had 10 dead, and different articles, depending on where you're looking at, they're going to report either 15, anywhere from 13 to 18 injured. Depends on which article you're reading.
With a knife?
With a knife. Two brothers with a knife.
Jeez. Oh, they went on a rampage?
They did.
And just...
So one of them did not survive, and the other was able to get away.
Oh.
And...
They didn't even catch him?
Not initially. So here's the thing. If you have... This was in a very public place. You have... How far do you think these gentlemen would have gotten? Gentlemen's a loose term.
Yeah.
What they would have gotten in a state that allowed a concealed carry. How different would this outcome have been?
It would have been over in one shot.
Right.
Because you don't bring a knife to a gunfight.
Correct.
I mean, you just don't do it. But I'm just amazed at how many people. Well, that goes to show you there was nobody armed.
Mm-hmm.
But if you'd had a legal concealed carry permitted person, that would have been over in maybe one shot, and who knows how many attempts. But wow, I had not heard about that one.
And the Canadian government, they are looking to disarm their people even further than
well, sure, because that's
right.
what. Yeah.
Right.
Well, they're gonna take your knives away too. Pretty soon we're gonna be eating with a spoon.
You know what they gave me in the hospital when I was in there the other day? Speaking of spoons.
You looked really cute in there too, by the way.
Thank you. They brought me a piece of wax coated cardstock that I had to fold and kind of make into this little ravine to use as a spoon because they couldn't give actual utensils because not everybody there has good intentions with things that could be made into a shiv.
And you were masked, I might add.
Oh, I was. Yes.
I thought you got arrested. 7-Eleven again. Can't let her go there, folks. I'm telling you. Ah.
All right. So Professor David Yamane has been researching the sociology of guns. We're talking with him more next.
But first, hey, did you know we have a world-class flight training school here in San Diego? Pilots can fly almost every single day. We're close to the ocean, the desert, the mountains. That's why San Diego is one of the best places to learn how to fly in the world. You can learn to fly in sunny San Diego right at Montgomery Field. Getting started is real easy. Call 858-569-1822 or learn to fly with SDFTI. But I'd call them at 858-569-1822. All right, well, that's Alisha. I see we have a special guest on the line.
We do. We have Professor David Yamane. David, are you there?
I am here. Thanks so much for having me.
Our pleasure.
All
So,
right.
Alisha, I'm going to go ahead and let you chat with him for just a moment.
All right. Hey, David. So I hear that you are with gun culture, sociology of guns, and non-traditional groups. I'm curious, how long has your sociology of gun groups class been running?
Well, so we just started the fall semester at Wake Forest University where I teach the class, and this is the 8th academic year that I've taught the class. So I've taught it one semester every year for the past 8 years.
Okay, so I'm going to be the dummy in the room. What would I get if I took out the college schedule and I found your class? What would be on the front page to entice me to come take your class?
Well, I think just having the term guns in the title would be a big inducement to taking the class for you, but it's also, a very big inducement for a lot of our students, many of whom don't have any direct involvement in gun culture, but, really aware that guns are a pretty spectacular presence in American society, for many good reasons and some bad reasons. So that's the kind of students who I get taking the course, or people who are, they're just interested in guns, they're interested in trying to understand them better, and most often don't have any background in guns or gun culture.
Gotcha.
So where are these classes happening at?
So I teach at Wake Forest University. It's in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It's a private university, about 5,000 students, part of the Atlantic Coast Conference. So if you're a basketball fan or increasingly a football fan, you may have heard of it.
Are they all in person, or are any of them available online?
Course is taught just in person for students who are enrolled at the university. A lot of people ask me about possibly taking the course, but it hasn't really panned out. I think a lot of people are interested in taking the course free. So when they say, "Oh, I'd love to take your course," I say, "Well, let's talk about what that would cost." They're like, "Oh, well, I'm not so interested anymore." People are so used to getting content free these days that when the idea of paying tuition comes up, can be kind of a conversation stopper.
Right. So, when I used to teach at the college as well, and it was a pay class, just kind of like what you're going to. And I always like to track how many came in and didn't know what it was doing and how many left. Did you see? Yeah, I know. It's like, what do you mean you didn't read the schedule? You didn't see what this was about? This is not a cooking show. Do you run into that very much, or are these people pretty savvy?
Yeah, these students are pretty savvy. It's a pretty selective university, and so the students all come from pretty solid backgrounds. But one thing that is sort of different, I think, about this class as compared to other classes on guns that are taught at the university level, at least, is that I require the students to go to the gun range at the very beginning of the class. And we can talk more about that if you're interested. But so because of that, all the students have to have a specific permission from me to enroll in the course. So I don't get a ton of students dropping because they kind of know what they're interested in guns, and they also know what they're getting themselves into.
Right. Well, you're pre-screening them before you go through the whole, start of a program, and then they go, well, when's lunch? That's okay. This is the wrong class for you.
Yeah. Well, this is not typically a problem that we have, although sometimes the students are out to lunch even when they're enrolled in the class.
I know.
I don't screen them for their views about guns or their past experience or anything. I just want them to know at the start, like, look, this course is going to take in all different aspects of guns. It's not just going to look at gun violence or criminology or those sorts of approaches. And you don't have to shoot when you go to the range, but you have to go to the range field trip just so you can see firsthand what guns are about.
Yeah.
And that really sets a foundation for the class going forward, because again, especially most of the students have no experience or very limited experience with guns.
Well, they're kids. Hey, Joe shot a gun. Hey, maybe I'll go shoot a gun. And then it just kind of goes down the... Who do you see the most excited to shoot, the girls or the boys?
Well, the class tends to have more women than men in it, and the men tend to have a bit more experience with guns. But I think the people who are the most excited about it are the people who don't have any experience at all. So, this semester I have 16 students in the class. 11 of them had never shot a gun before. And, so they were understandably extremely nervous going in.
Right.
Which I said that's a totally appropriate emotion to have when you're dealing with firearms and you don't know what you're doing. So, just do a very gradual introduction. We shoot a 22 pistol, and we shoot a 9mm pistol, and we end up shooting a AR-style rifle. And all of the 16 students shot all three of those guns, including the 11 students who had never shot before.
Wow.
So, it was a pretty profound experience for a lot of them.
Well, it's funny. We were talking to a guest earlier, and I just, it was an observation. Was she a psychologist?
Amanda?
Yeah.
NRA Board.
Well, she was something else too, I thought. But anyway, so I just asked her, because from what I've seen, and maybe you can address this, but when women get guns and get trained, they are way more excited than guys. I mean, they just take it so much. Like Amanda or Alisha was telling me, what'd you say? You shot and you were almost ready to roll in a week.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do you see that women jump onto it quicker than guys? It's just an observation.
I think that there's a sort of an expectation, I think, in a lot of places that guys know how to do certain things. Right? So,
there's some machismo.
And you're not supposed to get excited about doing things that guys are supposed to know how to do. So. Actually, I think in my class, because, going in, a lot of the students don't have any background, and everybody knows they don't have any background, that, they are able to express some of those emotions of, fear, nervousness, and also excitement more than they might at your local public range or gun shop.
Interesting.
So, hearing that so many of your students come into your course without a whole lot, little to none gun experience, I'm curious: are there a whole lot of preconceptions or just assumptions that they come in with that, that they relate to you? I'm curious, kind of what they come in with.
Yeah, I think that for those that come with no experience with guns, they tend to have mostly negative preconceptions. The guns are harmful. These students tend to be traditional college age. They're 20, 21, 22 years old, and they're really the kind of school shooting generation. They were in elementary school when Sandy Hook happened. They were in high school when Parkland happened, and so that really heavily colors their understanding of what guns are all about. So they do, when they end up having the opportunity to shoot and they find it exciting or challenging. Some of them, especially the women, talk about feeling empowered or feeling powerful when they're shooting. That they have to deal with that cognitive dissonance of having largely negative preconceptions going in, but realizing that it wasn't a negative experience they were having at the range. So that's something that they have to, kind of come to terms with.
I love that. And I hear that quite a bit as well. I do private instruction, and I do have a number of people that have come to me, whether it be the current state of the world today, the riots that we've had locally here in San Diego, just the way that the world is moving towards, they see a need to come in and get some training. They don't want it, but they feel that they need it just in case. And so a lot of people come to me, and I imagine it sounds like it's about the same as what you're saying, is that they come with a fear and with these preconceived ideas. And they're having to push through that, and I do see that same thing happening on my end as well. And so it's very common, I believe.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the female students, I have them write a reflection paper after they visit the range, and a lot of the female students will talk about, I've never thought about being a gun owner before, but this is something that now maybe seems possible. I may be living alone after I graduate from college. These sorts of considerations are probably exactly, these are the kinds of people that probably end up contacting you for instruction down the road.
Very likely. Very likely. Yeah, I'm curious, what is the most significant takeaway? They go through this course, through a number of weeks, I would imagine maybe even months. I'm not sure how long your courses are. But what do you find is the greatest takeaway? You look at them at the beginning of the course and you see how they've grown and the progression. What is the biggest takeaway that you see them leave with at the end of the semester?
I think the biggest takeaway that they have is that things are more complex than they might seem. And actually, this is true for the students who come from, really strong gun backgrounds all the way to people who have none. That the people who have no experience with guns realize that there are many positive uses that people have for guns. There's sport, there's hunting, there's tradition, obviously self-defense. And the people who, are very comfortable or, maybe even came out of a gun culture realize that there are reasons why there are people in the United States who have reservations about guns, because they come from just a vastly different experience, set, understanding. So, I don't teach any particular line. I just teach that the world is more complex than any of us.
All right, David.
Hey, Dave, can you hang with us for another segment?
Yeah, sure. Happy to.
All right. Hey, PRMI Mortgage. Well, I tell you what, primeres.com/Alpine. If you're looking to buy, refi, or if you're considering a reverse mortgage, call our local mortgage guy that you can trust. Call Chris Wiley at PRMI Mortgage. For nearly 25 years, Chris has been helping local San Diegans with all their mortgage needs. They make it easy. Work with a friendly expert team that will help you get the best deal on a mortgage. Call Chris Wiley at 619-722-1303 or primeres.com/Alpine. All right, we got David Yamane on the line, and he is coming to us today, and we're going to chat a little bit about what were we talking about?
Sociology of Guns.
There you go.
That's it.
So, continue on with your comment there, kid. I think you had one.
Just by way of continuing what we were talking about in the last segment, I was just curious: are there any lessons that you, David, you normally are in a classroom with a set number of students? Well, you now have a radio program with, I don't know, I think we have 12 listeners. You have an audience that you otherwise don't have, and I'm curious, what are some lessons that you would like to share with like-minded in the gun community that you have the ear of today?
Yeah, well, I think, a lot of the things that I try to convey to the students who I have who come from outside of gun culture for the most part are, things like the fact that guns are normal and normal people use guns, that self-defense is a very common reason for gun ownership today, things like that. So, I assume your listeners are all on board with things like that. But I think that for people who are sort of invested in guns, gun ownership, when you're dealing with people who are coming from outside of your reality, try to understand why they have the particular understanding of guns that they do, right? So, don't treat them as if they're foolish, don't treat them as if they're naive, because, these are students who have reasons for believing what they believe about guns. It's a limited set of beliefs based on a limited set of experiences, but if you approach them, with an open mind, and you might even say an open heart, to try to, explain to them why guns make sense to you, you're likely to make more inroads than, if you just get red in the face and yell and tell people, that they don't know what they're talking about. So, I think the college setting is conducive to that kind of approach, but, we can take that outside of, college settings and have a little bit of empathy and try to understand people who don't agree with us on the gun issue. And I think that makes a lot more inroads, and, you can kind of try to win the hearts and minds of people. Even if they never become gun owners, they may become more sympathetic to, the types of things that gun owners want.
So now you see why we do this show. I mean, you're doing it from one direction, and we're trying to do it from another direction, and just get people to look at both sides. Calm down, look at both sides. Now, we're not trying to convince you. We just want to educate you.
Yeah. And through education, you can do a lot of convincing.
Yeah.
People typically have to come to things, on their own time and on their own terms. And, when I finish the class, it's not like a student who began the class very anti-gun is pro-gun at the end of the class.
No.
But they have a little bit of insight into why a pro-gun position makes sense.
Right.
And that, I hope that they continue to educate themselves along those lines, as they grow older. And
well, it's almost like you're educating these kids about guns, and if they at the end they say, "Yeah, it's not for me," or "It's for me," you've done your job. You've at least given them both sides of the story. And the last and most important thing is, when you go to the ballot box, at least you'll be intelligent enough to know about the gun industry and gun ownership that you'll make the right decision. Not an emotional decision, but the right decision. And I think that's a benefit from your class.
Yeah. And, honestly, I don't even pitch the class as being, a pro-gun class. I'm just sort of pro-truth. And, I feel like, the truth and understanding, will lead people in, the direction that makes most sense to them, and that if they have more understanding of something at the end of the semester, they're more likely to at least have the possibility of moving in that direction.
Yeah. Did you ever wonder about going to class, the first day of class, in boots, cowboy pants, and a rifle? I mean, just think about it. Get the shirt, the hat. I mean, the very first day, you'd have their attention for the rest of the semester. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Well, let me tell you, because before we even meet in a classroom, as a class, we meet out at the range.
Oh.
And, that sort of solidarity that we build as a class, out at the range really carries through for the rest of the semester. I think that students will always think of me as being the guy who
took me to a gun range.
How to use these guns, right? And even though after every class after that, I'm there in my shirt and my bow tie and my jacket, there's still something about me is being the guy that's showing them how to load a 30-round magazine into an AR and have them shooting that gun.
Jeez.
You can imagine going from never having touched a gun before to shooting 10 rounds of 22, 10 rounds of 9mm, and then straight to the rifle.
Wow.
And it's very instructive for them. Like even little things, they shoot the 9mm, a Glock 17 from maybe 10 yards. They're all over the paper. Looks like a shotgun round. And then they shoot the AR from 25 yards with a red dot. And they all have these tiny little groups. And that in itself is instructive for them.
Mm-hmm.
Just understanding the technology of the gun, how much easier it is to shoot a rifle, different sighting systems. And so, that's not anything that they're taking the class to learn, but, it's fun to introduce them to some of those things.
Well, those things may stick. I mean, you just never know where their lives will, take them. At least they have, they have that knowledge, that they can take with you. I think that sounds like a really cool class.
Yeah.
Does it stay full all semester? Does it stay pretty full all semester?
Yeah, the class is always capped at 16 students. I get 16 sign up right away. I always have some on the waiting list. A couple people drop it. It's rarely.
Very rare, yeah.
The class is in pretty high demand because I only teach it once a year, and I keep thinking, well, this is going to be the year when the students' interest in guns drop off. But if you imagine from 2015 to today, no one's interest in guns have dropped off.
No, if anything, it's increased.
It's increasing, right?
But so's the awareness too. I think the awareness is starting to get out there more and more, from both left and right. I don't care what side you're on, but if it stirs up enough for you to dig into it and find out what's really going on, that's the key.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that these last couple of years we've seen a lot of people getting into guns who either people never thought they would get into guns or they themselves never thought they would get into guns, and those people come from a huge range politically, economically, demographically, every different way, and so that also challenges people's understanding. It's one thing if crazy Bob across the street's a gun nut. It's another thing if your next door neighbor who you really like, who is a trans woman,
right? She's
getting into guns, right? And then you're like, well, now I can hate Bob, I can't hate this person that I like. Yeah, that's a game changer in a lot of ways, also.
Well, exactly, and heaven knows where this is all going to go. Since you are a teacher, are there any books out there that you recommend just for the general public that they should, that kind of gives you not exactly what you teach, but kind of a road they could travel, some publication or a book?
Oh man, that's a tough question because there's really no single great book about guns in American society, but I think one of the best books that's very approachable and tells the kind of recent history is this book called Glock by Paul Barrett, who he was a reporter. He tells the story of the Glock as a company and how it came to develop its pistols, but he also sets it in the context of recent history, right? So all of those things that people remembered at the time but have now forgotten, but like the idea that these plastic pistols would be able to pass through metal detectors, then you have the transition from police, away from more limited capacity guns toward, these semi-automatic guns, takes it all the way through the 90s with the assault weapons ban, which you recall was also a large capacity magazine ban, and into the 21st century. So I really like that book. I've read it 2 or 3 times, and it's a good story. And he's open-minded. He's not a gun guy, but he's open-minded, and it's fun to read a story about a single thing, but it's really telling a much broader story. So I'd recommend Paul Barrett's book Glock.
Okay. All right, my lovely assistant wrote it down, so we'll see if we can't get on. What I'd like to do is read it and then have him come back or have him call in and we can talk about it.
Okay.
I learned a long time ago, if you're going to interview an author, you darn sure better read his book because it makes for a really tough interview if you don't do it. Been there, done that. Well, and so how does this, what school are you at?
Wake Forest University.
Okay. How have they accepted this this class? I mean, you're only doing it once a year.
Yeah. It's people are often amazed that I both teach the class and that also that they let me take the students to the gun range. But I never really asked permission. I just thought this is an important part of what I want to teach, and I think there's a lot of academic freedom that we have to teach, as long as we're teaching legitimate material.
Yeah.
And there were times when the administration had money that they would give faculty to take their students on field trips, and I got that money to take my students on these field trips to the gun store and the gun range.
Wow.
So if anybody objected to it, they haven't told me directly, and so
and you're still doing it. Well, hey man, this has been an awesome interview. thank you very much for taking time out of your day. I got a sneaky feeling we're going to be hunting you down the road, see how things are going.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to talk to you.
I almost had a little whiplash there, huh? Thought you were going to eat that microphone.
Nope.
Hey, attention California residents, gun laws are changing across the country. The recent SCOTUS ruling affirms your right to carry a concealed firearm. So now, more than ever, it's critical you know your California gun laws. That's why the U.S. Concealed Carry Association exists, to help keep responsibly Americans up to date with education and training. You can visit uscca.com/GOR to learn more about California gun laws and getting your concealed carry permit. That's uscca.com/GOR for the most up-to-date California gun law information. Act now. All right, we've got Michael's cousin, or nephew. He's back on the East Coast, and he is our gun trivia expert. He's been doing this with us for quite some time. He's probably in a 90% rate as far as, hitting the old nail on the head. How you doing, bud?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Well, your uncle just sort of went someplace and sort of forgot me, so I didn't know he's not here, and Alisha found out yesterday, and Action Jackson was the only one that knew. But it's because he's sharp. So you got just us today. So we got a pretty interesting question, and we're going to see if Action Jackson can deliver. Hit it, son.
All right. John from San Diego asks, what was the first commercially produced .22 long rifle caliber pistol?
John from San Diego. Thanks for writing in. I often say that there are a lot of questions where, with most of these, I either just know it or I don't. And this one, I pretty much don't at all. I'm going to guess.
His guesses are in this 80s.
This is. I'm going to guess the Beretta 25, but I don't think that's right. I also want to say the Colt Woodsman, but I'm not sure.
What would you think of the Ruger Standard?
The Ruger Standard didn't come around until, I want to say, 1949, and I'm pretty sure there were 22 pistols before then.
Aha! We got him. Good job, bud. We'll have our statistician go back and check, but you seemed way too, positive that they didn't do that. So I'm going to go on your side on this one.
Well, what was the answer?
Well, it said the Ruger Standard was the first commercially produced .22 LR caliber pistol once the decision was made to enter the gun-making business. Sturm and Ruger set out to bring a brand new pistol to market. Ruger himself had already replicated two Japanese Nambu pistols he had picked up from a returning Marine at the end of World War II. After duplicating the pistols, the two business owners began working together on a new .22 long rifle caliber design, later known as the Ruger Standard. Sturm and Ruger used the German Luger 9mm and an American Colt Woodsman as inspiration for the pistol. The Ruger Standard not only launched the company into a full-fledged business, but also earned a place in history, becoming the first commercially available .22 long rifle caliber pistol to hit consumer shelves.
Well, you say he used the Colt Woodsman as inspiration. So does that mean that the Colt Woodsman was commercially produced before that, or does it not? Was it not in full-scale production yet?
It was 1949.
What was
1949 for the stand? As you guys were speaking, I was looking it up, doing a little bit of research here. So I have 1949.
So look where the Colt Woodsman would be. Because I see where you're going. I mean, how could he use it as a comparison, unless it was ahead of him or in production, as you mentioned, and not, ready for the public. But where would where'd that inspiration come from?
So I don't think the Colt Woodsman is the first. That was just a kind of a shot in the dark, if you'll pardon the pun.
Right.
But
I like that.
I believe those were only ever in .22 LR, and I'm pretty sure they came before the Ruger Standard.
Yeah. Well, Alicia's phone's smoking right now.
All right, so the Colt Woodsman was a semi-automatic sporting pistol. Fastest Google can get me there. Manufactured by the U.S. Colts Manufacturing Company from 1915 through 1977. It was designed by John Moses Browning.
Okay, so
it did come before, but we still don't know for sure what was the first.
Right. Well, it was assumed. I mean, I don't see a reason. That sounds more because what was the year on the?
1949 was the standard.
And that one was the one before that. Was 19 change, right?
1915.
Yeah. So wouldn't you think, Sam, that the 1915 was ahead, or what would cause it production? Not
so
to be.
I'm trying to read and think all at the same time. It's a little difficult, but however, so what I'm finding is that the 22 short, I believe, I'm wondering if the long rifle portion is what's going to be
The kicker.
Mm-hmm.
So what it sounds like on this one is that we'll have to do some background research and reconvene next week.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I'm going to give this point to Sam.
Oh, absolutely. Where's my point?
Well, don't give me the point because I didn't know the answer. But
okay.
Don't give the asker the Denny's spaghetti because the answer provided was also not correct.
Yeah, I totally agree. No, I really don't.
Now, to be fair, this is from the NRA website. His answer specifically, all of it's word for word from the NRA site. So they could possibly be onto something.
Oh, so somebody took the answer from this question off the NRA website.
That's correct. Yes.
All right, Sam, how much do you trust the NRA website for technical information, age? Well, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know because we found that the Colt Woodsman came first. As I said, we'll have to do some background research and reconvene next week to make a decision.
All right. Well, cool. Everything else going good?
Yeah, everything's fine. You know, same old, same old.
I know. Doing any flying lately?
Not recently.
My buddy's, I think he's going to get his tail draggers next week.
Oh, good for him.
Oh,
I hear that's a fun one.
I told him I would go. You need ballast? I'm here for you, buddy. All right. I'm going to let you take off, say hi to the family, and we'll definitely talk to you next week with updated information. Alisha will take care of that personally.
Figure it out.
All right, buddy.
All right,
thanks.
Good. And John from San Diego, thanks for writing in.
Yeah. Good job, brother. Good job. All right. Well, that was a fun show. What'd you think, kid? She's still. I wasn't talking to him.
You're talking to me.
He's always rocking and rolling. He loves it. Built 5 pieces of pie. Made 6 little animals run around and jump on stuff. Right?
Pretty much.
By the way, if you put your hand up there, it means you have a question. Be careful with that. It's loaded. So, what do you think, Alisha? First time co-hosting all by yourself?
It's rough.
Kind of fun.
It's rough. I'm ready for Mike to come back.
Waiting for you wait till he gets back.
I thought we had a pretty good show today, in all honesty.
Oh,
I learned a lot.
Leaving with the same number of holes we came with. Good day.
We had a lot of callers earlier just asking about that whole credit card situation and what gun owners can really do. So maybe we can come with that as a topic next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it is a scary situation for gun owners out there, knowing that the government's going to be watching you now from this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad enough you have to fill out enough paperwork to...
Right, isn't the background check just enough already? We have already,
No, it's never enough.
I know, I know. We as gun owners... we have compromised so many times that the more we compromise more and more, the more they'll push onto us.
But we don't do anything.
I know.
If when they dumped all that CC, W information, they're probably sitting there going, "Oh, look, they're not even upset." I mean, they're yelling and they're hollering and they're on Facebook,
right? And they're not doing anything back at us. So
they're not.
They're
not picketing us. They're not trying to burn down our cars. So, and I'm not not advocating violence. I'm not advocating that we do that, but they're not afraid of us. They're like the bully in the yard. You can't. I mean, you're not going to go up against the bully, are you? So
I'm just going to give him my lunch money.
Yeah, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put an inner tube in between 2 pieces of bread and some lettuce and tomato, and they'll think it's bologna. We used to do that all the time.
Oh, okay.
Well, inner tube, little FYI, used to be the same color as bologna. And
like pinkish?
Yeah. And if you ever had a doorknob that kept stealing your lunch, we'd load it up.
Oh,
There were some other things we'd put in, but it's a kid show, so we can't really
Yeah.
talk about that. All right. So you didn't say anything, Alisha. It was okay.
You know, so during commercial breaks, just what Brandon was bringing up, I was looking it up. Just I was in the same wavelength as those people calling it, and just being a little concerned and unhappy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how many people come into Discount Gun Mart with a bag of cash?
Not often.
And would that not flare up a light someplace?
And they have no clue.
How many customers would you say actually do purchase with a credit card?
Every one of them.
Ammunition.
99%.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, yeah.
I mean, yeah. So it's like double dipping. You know, you fill out all the. You know, many times I filled out the paperwork when I picked up that little gun we went out the. Must have filled out. I don't know. Well, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's like buying a car.
Yeah. Why am I looking at you? You already do. You do this all the time. Well, not really. You going shooting tomorrow?
Actually, I will be. I'll be at South Bay tomorrow.
All right.
So tomorrow's South Bay. No, I'm RO sewing tomorrow, so I'll be there all day. Yeah. So if you come out to South Bay tomorrow, you'll see me there.
Where's that
at? Del Zura. So South Bay Rod and Gun.
Okay. South Bay Rod and Gun.
South Bay Rod and Gun.
Right.
You know, it's out near the Pink Gate. If you know where the Pink Gate is, it's not too far from there.
I have no idea, but I bet I can find it. I'd have to look. So, all right. Hey, folks, I want you to do me a favor. Subscribe to our shows and give us a 5-star review. And you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. And when you have an opportunity, go to our sponsors and just grab the manager and just thank them, you know. And if you can, join San Diego County gun owners, Orange County gun owners, Inland Empire gun owners, the Dillon Law Group, PRMI Mortgage, Sage Tree, Leo Hamill Fine Jewelry, San Diego Flight Training International, and U.S. Concealed Carry Association. Big shout out to Alisha Curtin. She carried the ball today. Michael Schwartz is in the doghouse. Sam the Gunman did a great job. And Action Jackson darn near took over the show. And we always can thank Brendan Thomas for switching up the show as many times as he could just to keep us on edge. He's in serious trouble when I hang up. All right, this is Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The answer.